You're watching the Bearcat Network. Today's Wednesday, November 5th, and this is Cat Chat. I'm Chris Sabato with my co-host Kip Ioane. We're bringing you the news, events, and an inside look at Bearcat Athletics. Let's jump into the roundup.
It was a crazy weekend.
Yeah,
I mean,
busy.
Pandemonium around here this weekend.
Start things off on Friday night. The swim team hosted the Northwest Conference Relays. If any of you were here or in the building, it was organized chaos.
That's right. People everywhere.
Everywhere. The stands were packed. The pool deck was packed. There was a lot of people. Our teams ended up fifth. This is like not how they normally score things, but with the relays it was combined, so it was the men's and women's team combined.
Yeah.
So it was just one Willamette score.
Yeah.
We ended up fifth. And then swimming moved over to Linfield for the Northwest Conference Sprint Invitational. Basically 5 events: the 100 IM, the 50 fly, the 50 back, the 50 breast, and the 50 free. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that basically everybody does everything.
Okay.
Or at least a subset of people do everything. And so on the men's side, Alika Masai was 10th in the men's pentathlon, and that's basically
all 5 of them just combined.
Basically all 5 of them, your total time.
Yeah.
And on the women's side, Cassie Tallman was 4th, and she's a freshman, and so that looks good for the Bearcats coming up.
Yeah, big things to come for her, hopefully.
Yeah.
On the volleyball side of things, tough trip to Spokane and Walla Walla, as it is for every Willamette team that has to venture up there. The women and volleyball team drop a 3-1 loss to Whitworth, and then followed up with a similar 3-1 loss to Whitman in those 4-set losses. The team's now 11-12, 6-8 in the NWC, and I believe senior night is Friday. We'll talk more about that in looking ahead.
Yes.
And then women's soccer, Coach Hilly Arthur and the gals dropped. I mean, their season right now is they're so close.
They are.
A lot of respect to those girls for fighting and staying together, because they've been on the cusp of a win for it seems like 5 weeks. Every game is overtime, 1 goal.
Right.
Whitworth here was a 2-1 loss in overtime Saturday, and then a 0-0 tie in double overtime with Whitman. So at least they got the tie there, and hopefully they can push forward this coming week with a W.
In men's soccer, big game on Saturday. It was basically you got to win it against Whitworth, and they needed a win or a tie, and they did what they needed to do, and they got a tie.
Great crowd, fun game.
Yeah, fantastic effort, but an emotional game followed up by a game the next day, and they lost 2-1 to Whitman, and that's hard. To come back the day after a big emotional victory.
Sometimes they see trap games in front of a big game, but this one was after. Like, hey, we got to get up the next day and redo this. It's hard to do, absolutely.
Yeah, and you even see that. They talk about that a lot in the NFL when you've got a game a week away. But when you got to do it the next day, the next day, huge emotional, not win, but a tie. They did what they needed to do.
Yeah.
And then the next day, they just couldn't put it together. So with that loss against Whitman, they need to win their final game, and they need Whitworth to lose or tie.
Okay.
And
it's tough when you don't control your own destiny anymore. But it's still in the cards. Hopefully, I believe Whitworth plays Whitman, correct? And that's a rivalry game, so there's something Whitman maybe can be spoiler for both of us and get us back in there. On the football side of things, I know this score was going through cell phones, and everybody was following it during the great soccer match. A huge win for Coach Fowles and the football team at arch rival, the Purple People Eaters over there in McMinnville, the Linfield Wildcats. The Bearcats come away 31-28 winners. We'll dive into this game in detail and digging deeper, but a huge win for the program. Bumped them up into the top 25 again, number 25 in the D3Football.com rankings, and Jack Nelson named the D3Football.com Team of the Week. And we've got a lot of other standout performers from a huge win in a rivalry that had been pretty one-sided for the last 4 or 5 years, and this was a great way to get it back to being a true rivalry with the Bearcats putting a big stake in the ground over there in the Cat Dome. Yeah,
that's one of those games where the past couple of years it's a rivalry on one side, and we want to beat them, and they don't care because they always beat us. Well,
now
I think they'll care a little bit next year.
It's back. That's great.
Yeah. Out in cross country out of Bush Park this weekend was Northwest Conference Cross Country Championships. Started off with the men's race. The men were first. They defended their conference title, led by Jacob Shafi and Ioane Castillo, who are 2 and 3 respectively. The men move up to number 2 in the region and 31st in the country. that's the men's 24th conference title, 11 in the last 14 years.
That's an amazing run.
So
amazing run of success, unmatched, really.
Yeah, and on the women's side, just a dominant effort. The women were first, led by Taylor Ostrander, followed by Olivia Mansell and Michaela Freeby, who were 1, 2, 3 respectively.
That's a lot of cardinal and gold in the front.
And 1, 2, 3 respectively. Juliet Farnan was 5th, or actually Juliet Farnan was 4th, and Hannah Bressler was 6th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. That gives them 16 points, 1 point shy of a perfect score.
Unbelievable.
And those first 3, they were not challenged at all.
Mm-hmm.
They crossed the line together.
Yeah.
They were just out for a run,
yeah.
and they dominated. That's the 10th conference title, and they've all been in the last 14 years.
Great job by Coach McGirt, Coach Brett, everybody involved. I think we went as a program, men's basketball. We went out and saw the men's race, beginning of the women, and the thing that strikes me in cross country, it's a sprint. I mean, it really is compared to what normal humans consider a long-distance run.
They're not out for a jog.
No, I mean,
the first 3 women may have been.
But seriously, but it was so impressive, especially at the end. Our guys are winning. People that are finishing, there's full-body cramps happening.
Yep.
Guys need help coming across the line. There's literally catchers in the pen for people that have physically exhausted themselves. So we were very impressed as a team with not only the Bearcats but everybody that competes in the sport. It was a very fun event to go see out at Busch Park. On our side of things, men's basketball, we had our alumni game here at the end of the Saturday festivities with all these events happening. We had 15 of our former players come back, a lot of our former all-conference players. It was a great game, and we were able to pull away the current Bearcat group 87-74. Got some great performances from the usual suspects, and as far as Bubba Ludke was 17 points, Alex Brown 17, but it was nice to have a freshman, one of our newest players from San Antonio, Texas, Brendan McCullough, came off the bench for 19 points, and a lot of those were in some spots where the old men were getting some confidence and putting some runs on us. So the youngest kid on the floor did some things. On the alumni side, Cam Mitchell, a lot of you remember him, class of 2009 All-American, All-West Region player. Still has it, 27 points, 9 rebounds. So great for Cam, not so great for our defense, but we'll get to working on that in practice this weekend. And on the women's side, Coach Peg Swadner and the women also had their alumni game. 7 alumni came back. It was a big victory for the current Bearcat edition on the women's side, and they've got some events coming up this weekend for some more games. You could get a chance to see them and a special tribute that we'll talk about later on as well. All right, this week in Digging Deeper, we mentioned it earlier when we were in the roundup, but what an amazing victory for Coach Fowles, Coach Nate Nagy, all the guys involved with the football program. Coming off the loss they had at PLU, the way they lost at PLU, I think it's one of the better coaching jobs and better team performances on bounce back and belief to go into number 5 Linfield. Obviously, we mentioned before, our rival, riding a 38-game Northwest Conference winning streak, a 25-game winning streak at home in the regular season, and for our guys to pull out a 31-28 victory was amazing. It was great timing in the soccer stands when people were reading the scores, the ending of the game, along with our soccer team playing. It was a fun environment. Some stats from the game that really stand out. Dylan Jones, who's been a guest, maybe people should come to the Cat Chat. And it pretty much guarantees you a standout performance.
I think so.
Senior tailback Dylan Jones, 35 carries, 166 yards, and probably the biggest one was a fourth quarter 98-yard touchdown run after a big interception from our defense. Gave us the ball at the 2, and Dylan takes off on a 98-yard scamper to put us up. And that was a Willamette record for the longest run in history from scrimmage. So a lot of respect out to Dylan Jones. The defense was huge, coming off, not their best performance, especially in the secondary versus PLU. Great job by those guys rebounding and getting back to playing the way they're all capable of. 3 interceptions of the Linfield offense, 2 from Nick Brickus, 1 from Damian Jackson, and really kept Linfield off balance all game. The Bearcat football team's now 5-2, 3-2 overall in the NWC. Like we said earlier, they've re-entered the D3Football.com top 25. And really this week coming up, they get a second chance to be spoilers as they go to Pacific, who's back in front in the NWC. Now that Linfield's lost, Pacific's undefeated in NWC play. So we go to Forest Grove with another chance to, to hurt somebody else's season and continue our kind of strong end to the season.
Yeah, statistically, I think we still have an opportunity for a conference championship, but I think it's at this point, it's pretty unlikely. Now we just want to wreck other people's hopes.
Absolutely, and we're doing a heck of a job of it. We can, hopefully that drops Linfield down a little bit. We can get Pacific and then end here on Senior Day against UPS.
Yeah, so. And it did. I think Linfield dropped to 11.
Yeah, that's a big drop.
From 5 to 11.
Yeah.
So
And we were the last team, I believe, 2008 to beat Linfield in the NWC.
Well, yeah. To put that in perspective, the 38-game Northwest Conference winning streak. No one on their team has ever lost to a conference team.
That's crazy.
Ever.
Right.
No one.
That's amazing. And to have it be Willamette is even better.
Yeah.
Even better. So, once again, great job to the football team. I know a lot of people went out and supported. It was a great weekend overall for support, whether it was out at the cross-country meet, whether it was here for the soccer games. A lot of respect out to the Willamette community because we really felt a lot of support even at our games at night after everybody was tired from being here all day. We still had great attendance for the women's alumni game and the men's alumni game, so we want to thank the fans for that.
Absolutely. So this is where we would normally do an athlete spotlight. Right. We don't have one this week, but we think because we've had a lot of news, and we've got even more coming up in the roundup. So hopefully next week we'll be back with another athlete spotlight.
And like we said, you come on Cat Chat, athletes, you're going to break out the next week. We guarantee it.
Guaranteed.
Well, Sabato does.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. So let's go ahead and look ahead and see what we got coming up this week.
And another big weekend for the Bearcats in the athletic department. Men's and women's swimming, they make the tough trek. It seems like everybody's been alternating the last couple of weeks going up to Spokane and Walla Walla. Men's and women's swimming will be at Whitworth and Whitman. Volleyball, senior night here against PLU Friday at 7 p.m., so make sure you get to Coleman Fieldhouse and support the senior volleyball players in their last home match, and then they'll wrap up the season Saturday in Forest Grove at Pacific. So hopefully Coach Shoji and the ladies can get 2 wins to end the end, which has been a good year. Hopefully they can get to that 8-8 mark in conference play. Women's soccer, they're here against PLU Friday at 11 a.m.
Friday.
Yeah, the interesting start time, but Friday 11 a.m. So they'll have the field themselves. Early start to the match, but hopefully people can get out and see them. And then Saturday versus Pacific is also a home game here. Men's soccer, big game. They got to do their job and then hope that other things fall into place. But it's definitely still in the realm of possibility. So they're versus Linfield Saturday at 1:30. Hopefully they can continue our streak of beating the Wildcats, and hopefully some other things fall into place for them. As we mentioned, football is at Pacific Saturday, 1 p.m. kickoff, looking to take down the first-place team in the NWC once again. And then a big event for women's basketball here at Coleman Fieldhouse Saturday at 6 p.m. They're taking on Carroll College, and it's the Bruce Henderson Memorial Game. And for people that aren't familiar with the story, Coach Bruce Henderson was the Willamette University men's assistant coach, spent a lot of time in just the world of basketball, women's side of things, and came back as our head coach for a number of years. Unfortunately passed away while coaching here at Willamette. And this is an opportunity for a lot of people. The team room downstairs has been dedicated in Coach Bruce's memory. I know a lot of his coaching colleagues are coming back to the game. There's some speeches at halftime, and there's some events afterwards for people that just knew Coach Bruce. And Coach Bruce, if he was in the room, you were aware of it, and it was a fun time. Yeah, it was a fun social atmosphere.
If you knew Bruce, none of this matters because you knew him,
right?
Exactly. And he was. He was a fixture.
Absolutely.
On campus,
yep.
And not just in the athletic department. He was all over campus, and he was proud to be a Bearcat.
Absolutely. So it's an opportunity for anybody they can come out, see the current team play, but also remember and celebrate Coach Henderson. So that's happening 6 p.m. on Saturday. And then cross country for the week is just getting ready for the next weekend.
They're off this week, and next weekend back in Bush Park for the West Region Championships, and that's basically where we decide who goes to the national meet.
Absolutely. So it's a great time on campus. Fall sports are wrapping up. Some big events to end their seasons in various groups, and winter sports are kicking off. So great time to be a Bearcat and get out and see things.
Yeah. Just to wrap things up, thanks for joining us. As always, check us out on our social media, bit.ly/woosocial. Check us out on the Bearcat Network, bit.ly/Bearcat Network. And check us out in person. Come to our games.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got lots of them on campus this weekend. Several senior recognition games, volleyball, men's soccer, and women's soccer. So stop by, and until next week, see you later.
See you guys.